The series begins with the Squid Game, which was called the Squid because it was played inside a drawing on the ground that looked like a squid and twisted. The two groups were divided against each other, attack and defense. The defender was able to run on both legs normally. If the attacker was able to enter the drawing, then the attacker was able to run on both legs and was called the secret inspector. In the final stage, the attackers gathered at the entrance to the squid and tried to avoid the defenders. The squid reached the squid's head and stood on it. If the defender was able to throw the attacker out of the squid drawing, the attacker would die and would not be able to try again. As soon as the attacker stood on the squid's head, they would say that he won, meaning he defeated the defenders. This is the Squid Game. We go to Seong, an unemployed, unsuccessful person who lives with his mother in her apartment so that she could spend on him. He was unable to pay the interest on the loan he took and squandered it in the air. He was upset that his mother left the house so that he could take her visa and withdraw money from her. But he exploded and was unable to borrow. He withdraws money from it and keeps trying the birthday numbers he remembers until he puts his daughter's birthday and Bing in the draw for what he wants and goes to bet with it on his horse race. And for the first time in his life, he wins something that brings money and gives the receptionist a tip. But because of his bad luck, the money is stolen from him because a pickpocket who bumps into it while he's trying to escape from the debt until they catch him, and after they beat him up they force him to sign a waiver of his organs. If he doesn't pay the money he owes by the end of the month, and he will be allowed to take his kidney and one of his eyes with the approval he signed himself. And here turns to the receptionist and takes from her the tip he gave her and plays the gift hunting game because he doesn't have money to get this daughter a gift for her birthday, and all his attempts fail because of his bad luck until a little boy helps him and he wins a locked gift and goes to give her a gift, his daughter, on her birthday, and she takes out the gift. It's a lighter in the shape of a gun, but his daughter is happy that her father brought her a gift too, even though he took it from her so she wouldn't burn herself in the fire. His daughter's father is going to bring her a big gift next year, and it becomes clear that his daughter wants to tell him something, but she goes back on her words and keeps quiet. He takes his daughter to her mother's house and her stepfather's house and sells her. He goes back again to get on the train, and whoever doesn't catch it and is hurt to wait for the next train. A man comes next to him and offers him to play a game with him called the Doki game, which consists of two pieces of cardboard. One is thrown on the ground and the other remains in the player's hand. If the player is able to hit the piece in his hand on the piece that's sent string on the ground and flips it over, he has succeeded. But if he doesn't accept, he has failed. The man offers Seong that if he wins, he will give God 100,000 won, which is their currency, and Seong will be lucky. The first one, as usual, fails, and the man's turn comes, and he wants to flip his piece that is on the ground, and Seong has no money to pay. Sotherman says that he can pay him with his body and hits Seong with the pen, and Seong drags another round and hits him at the end because of his failure as well, and Seong keeps failing and hitting him until his face turns red, and one time Seong wins and he's extremely happy and takes the 100,000, and the man says that he can make him win more money, a lot through the game, and he starts saying that he knows his whole history, and that he is almost unemployed now, and that the works as a driver only, and his money is not enough for his expenses, and he has not yet signed a waiver of his organs because he owes 160 million and one to the religion and 225 million to the bank because of the loan he took from them. And he has a 10-year-old daughter who lives with his ex-wife and her husband, and he gives him his card and tells him that if he wants to win millions, he should call him, and he leaves and walks away. And Seong is happy that he has money and buys dinner for himself and his mother, and they eat together. His mother tells him that his wife and her husband and their daughter will move to American next year, and they take pictures, and he remembers that his daughter was going to tell him that, but she keeps quiet, and his mother tries to encourage him by telling him that he must win custody of his daughter, and he must be able to support this daughter and spend on her in front of the court. And night comes and he can't sleep from thinking too much, until he decides to call the man's number and says that he's ready to participate. and he keeps waiting in a certain place until a car stops in front of him. And the driver asks him for the password that was said to him on the phone, and he tells it to him. And as soon as she gets in the car, sleeping gas spreads and Seong falls asleep like the rest of the sleepers in the car except for the driver, because he is wearing a gas mask, and Seong wakes up and he is in a large, wide place with a lot of people, and Bella. He is wearing a uniform with the rest, and he took the number 456, and in front of each one there is a camera monitoring, and all those present are being watched by certain people. And Seong gets up from his place and finds a screen in front of him with the number of people present in the place. And Sheng is the last one to come to this place, and he is an old, poor man whose number is 1. And they ask Seong about the reason for the presence of an old man like him in a place like this. And he tells the old man that he has a tumor in his brain and is about to die. So he has nothing to lose by participating. And he hears a thug beating up the girl who robbed Sing. And it is because of old problems between them, until Seong intervenes, because he wants his money from her, because he found out that she is the one who robbed him. And before they can finish talking together, people enter from the gate, and they are wearing masks on them. The circle signed a masked man with a square drawn on it starts talking to everyone present, and tells them that they will all participate in 6 different games in 6 days. And whoever wins the 6 games will win a high cash prize, and that their mobile phones and wallets will be returned to them as soon as the game ends, and the game team's faces will remain hidden to preserve the confidentiality of the work team. And one of the players speaks and says that he does not believe them, and does not trust this words. And the masked man starts telling them that they are all in debt with large sums, and they were filmed while playing the game, and then they took the money, and at that moment, they trusted the person who gave them the money and called his number to enter the game, and that they are allowed to return to their miserable lives, or continue with the man that the games are unknown to all players, and they know as soon as they participate in the man. They ask Seong about the top of the prize, and it is said that the piggy bank above them will be filled with money. After the first game they play, and the amount will be given to them after the first game ends, and everyone present has the right to either withdraw or go sign the game contract, and the first ban in the contract is that the player cannot stop playing at all, and the second is that the player who refuses to play will be eliminated. And the third is that the game ends if the majority agree to its end. After everyone present signs the contract, they go to the players' hall, and they are filmed, and the game leader is watching everything that is happening. And Apple's son, Sang's childhood friend, is there and tries to talk to him, but Sang says that he will tell him later what happened to him. They go to the game hall and see at the end of the hall a big bride standing with her ribbon drawn on the ground in front of her. And the bride turns her head and cries, and they are required to reach the finish line. And they must stop moving as soon as the bride turns her head and looks at them, and they are allowed to run. But the bride turns her head and says, "A signal, Fraser, run red signal only," and the game begins and everyone starts. Everyone is running, but when the bride turns in, sees the first player moving has eliminated, and is stopped with the sound of a gunshot, and the losing player falls to the ground, and Noon understands what happened to him. And one of the players approaches the player who fell and finds him bleeding from his mouth, and he's terrified. And runs to the call house as well, because the bride has a motion sensor and is able to determine who is moving, and chaos and blood is everywhere because most of the players ran from fear and those who moved were eliminated, and the leader sits watching them and enjoying watching them die in front of him until the bride completes the game and the first one to move after the massacre. What happened is the old man and the rest of the players start running and standing, and soon Seong falls on someone and tries to get up from his place. And there is a specific time in front of them during which they must cross the red line, and the players start crossing the line. And while Seong-gi's running, he steps on someone's arm and before he falls, and the bride sees him, he finds someone named Ali who grabs him and prevents him from falling and dying. And they cross together, and the time ends, and everyone who failed to reach their line is killed, and their location appears to be on an island in the middle of the sea, and all the dead bodies are burned, and then the people who still have life are burned, and they are completely disposed of, and the rest. The players re-shocked by what they saw until the work team enters, and the masked man tells them that their number is less than 456 players, for 21 and 255 players died. But all the players object and Peter leaves the game and everyone starts turning against the team until the masked man tells them that this con ban says that the player who is banned from playing will be eliminated. But Sang tells him that the third ban says that the games will end if the majority votes to end the game, and the masked man agrees with him, but tells the rest of the players to first see the financial prize that will be put in the piggy bank. And the piggy bank starts to fill with a lot of money and greed appears on all of them. And this is the money of each player from the players who died, and in front of each player who died, there is 100 million won is put in the piggy bank. And the number of players who died is 255 players, meaning that the money in the piggy bank is 25 billion and 500 million, and they have complete freedom to withdraw. And the money will then go to the families of the players who they died. But the most important thing is that the final prize will be 45 billion and 600 million won. The masked officer asks them to vote through the buttons in front of them, and the voting will be by counting in reverse for numbers. The first one to vote is Song. The green button means to continue, and the red button means to withdraw. He puts Sang on red, and all the players start voting. In the end, the votes are repeated, and it is the turn of number 1, the old man, and he votes to end the game. The game actually ends, and the masked officer tells them that everyone will go home again, but they have a chance to return to the game again. They are all notified and watch in different places. Peter is seen standing in the streets, and the first thing Sung does is go to report what happened to the police, but no one believes him. He puts in his hand the card and the phone number he called to join the game. The officer calls the number on the card, but he finds that the lady answers him and yells at him because he called early, and Peter Sung is outside the station, and there is a police officer named Huang standing there watching what is happening and sees what Sung's ID looks like in Beirut. Sung is for his mother and doesn't stay at home and keeps looking for her until he gets a call from the hospital she is in and learns that she has diabetes and is controlling her legs and that she needs urgent treatment. And in the worst cases scenario, her legs will need to be amputated. But after she wakes up, his mother refuses to stay in the hospital and tells him that there is no money for treatment or living if she lays down, and that she has to assist so that their lives don't get ruined more. And Sung tells her that he will bring her money and come. And Huang is an officer. The police have a brother who has been missing for a few days, and he blames his landlady for disappearing because he didn't pay her rent. And the officer goes to his apartment and finds the same ID he saw at the police station with Song Feb. Tani goes to the police station again and takes Sung's information and his home address. It appears that each of the players' lives are ruined because of money, including Ali, who needs money and fights with his former manager because he refuses to pay him 6 months' salary. They fight together until his manager's hand is pulled into the machine, and he takes the money that was with his manager and runs away to give it to his family. Sang calls his mother and reassures her that he is fine and that he on a business trip to America, and he won't be coming soon due to work circumstances. And she doesn't understand anything about a good job, to the point that she brags about it in front of everyone until police investigators come to her place because they are looking for her son. Sung because of embezzlement, forgery and other financial crimes, and his mother understands that he's lying to her and that he is a con man. And Sung at that time decides to commit suicide until he finds his door knocked and sees a card under the door of his apartment from the Squid Game, in it the date and place of the meeting, if he wants to join them again. And Sung tries to borrow any money to help his mother, but he fails, and the old man Apple happens to be in a store in his area. And the old man says that he decided to return to the game again because his life is currently more tormented than the game itself, and that he was wrong when he decided to end the game. And a card is distributed to all the players, and Pil-sun goes to his ex-wife to borrow money from her, his mother's operation, but she refuses to give it to God because he doesn't have money, and asks him to leave the house before her husband comes and causes problems. But her husband returns with the children from outside and tells him that Sung-ho came to check on his daughter and will leave immediately. And his ex-wife's husband goes down after him and gives him money and says that in exchange for this money, he doesn't want to see his face again or think about coming to visit his daughter. But Sung-ho hits him, because he tries to make him not see his daughter, and his daughter sees Seong-ho. While he hits her stepfather and returns home, Officer Wong comes to his house and asks him about the card he has, and that his brother had the same card and disappeared. But Seong-ho refuses to talk to him and says that he is not worthy to allow him to help anyone, and leaves and enters his apartment, and Bella finds the game card on his door, and all the players who left the game start to return to it again, and they are waiting in a specific place for them. But his time Wong, the policeman, is monitoring the cart that took Song and Kang. The pickpocket didn't sleep in the car because of the gas, because she was able to avoid inhaling it in the car. And Huang keeps chasing them until he finds them entering the port and uses the cars until they come out to a ship, and he enters to hide among the sleeping people, and he wants one of the gamers to enter and is able to kill him and put on his clothes and clean up for the rest of the game. Team and Kang wakes up and is able to keep her knife without it being taken from her. And all the players in their hall wake up again with the same clothes and numbers, and there are 187 players who return to play again for a prize worth 26,900,000,000 won. And he meets Song's friend Sing and Ali, who saved him from death, and he tells them that they can be team together so that they can repeat the game together, and the old man cleans up for them and same time gathers the bully as a team to play together, and he's bored with them for lunch and then for bed. But his friend number 22 keeps screaming that she wants to go to the bathroom, so they forbid her to go, and she goes with him. And Kang tries to open the ventilation hole with the knife she has, and she enters it to explore the plan, philosophizes, and tells Sheer everything she saw, and Kang moves at the Reese and sees the melting sugar in the kitchen, and quickly returns to the bathroom before she's discovered, and they go back to their bed again, and Sang hears them talking. And the next day comes, and Huang is sleeping in the room designated for the person who killed and robbed Ziyu. And he gets up and joins the rest of the team in the game, and he is bored with breakfast for the players. But Sung refuses to take milk because they are tired, and they tell an old man that he must have been beaten a lot by his father when he was young, because Heelzo used to be his son. Because of his hatred for coffee, they stay eating until an announcement is made that the second game will start soon. One of the players, number 111, reads a message sent to him in his food about the type of upcoming game. Sing walks behind Kang and tells her that he heard that she saw something yesterday and wants to know what she saw in exchange for him being able to help her with his intelligence. She tells him about the melted sugar thing, and they all move to the game hall. There are 4 gates in front of them. Each gate has a different shape, and he asks the players to choose one of the 4 shapes and stand in front of it. Sing is able to guess that these shapes are similar to the shapes that were drawn on sweets made from melted sugar when he was a child. But he hides from the rest of the team that he almost understood the game, and tells them that it is better for each one to choose a different gate, because if they choose one gate and it turns out to be difficult, it is possible. They all die and believe Sing, and each one of them chooses a different gate to stand in front of. And Nikang waits until Sing goes to a gate, and she goes after him to the same gate, and the gates open in front of them, and boxes are distributed to them. And in the heart there is a honeycomb drawn on it, the same drawing that was on the gate from outside. And the game is that each player must break the honeycomb in the same shape as the drawing in front of him using a needle. And if the drawing is broken, the player loses. And Sung gets the hardest shape is the umbrella, and the first one to break his drawing is killed immediately. And the team starts killing the players who break their drawing and makes the winning players leave the place. And Sung keeps trying to make his drawing, and he is nervous to the point that his sweat falls on the sugar, and Bella finds it starting to melt easily, and he understands that he can remove the drawing with his tongue. And he keeps sucking saliva to make the drawing fragile, and he's able to successfully remove the umbrella, and the thug is able to succeed in removing his drawing after player number 212 helped him and threw him, the lighter that she was hiding with her so that he could heat the needle and separate the drawing easily in time runs, and everyone who failed to remove the drawing is killed. And Bing Xiong at the last moment, but a player from the people present before he's killed is able to hit a guard and take a weapon from him, and threatens to kill him and orders him to remove his mask, and it turns out that he's a young man and the player is not able to kill him. So it is clear that he is free, but the leader appears and kills the young man who is on his team and swallows one of them whose identity is revealed, and he is killed. High skilled immediately, and the rest of the players who won move to their bedroom again, and they see the piggy bank filling up with money from the 79 players who died in the game they came from, and the value of the prize increases to 34,800,000,000 won, and lunchtime comes, and it becomes clear that there is a relationship between the thug and the player number 212, who was given the lighter, and it comes time to eat, and it's very little. So they decide to take more than their share of food, and he takes other people's food, and among those who do not have food is player number 271, and he goes to fight with the thug, but he keeps shitting him until he's in his hand gets tired of what is happening, and keeps stalking with the team, and tells them that they are supposed to play and kill each other, and all that happens is that the number of players on the screen decreases, and the prize increases by 100 million, and at the same time, Officer Huang is able to take the mask of a high-ranking officer, and he is the one who gives the orders, and it becomes clear that there is an organs alley operation happening in secret inside the facility without anyone knowing. And the matter is by agreement between a player who works as a doctor and his number 1-on-1 and 2 members of the game team. And after what the thugs do, Sung and his team are afraid to sleep and slaughter in their beds, and they decide that they will stay awake all day. And everyone is surprised because of the lack of food this time. And the doctor, whose number is 111, knows the reason for the lack of food from those who help him in the game, which is that the leader intended to give them little food, and then a quarrel occurs between them, and the weak people are eliminated before the next game starts. And indeed, as soon as the time for sleep comes, and the lights are turned off on them, the first person the thug kills is the woman who said that he took more than his share of food, and he kills him with the top of the bottle he was drinking from. And the chaos ends in the place, and everyone starts killing each other until the old man stands soup and begs the leader to stop what is happening, or everyone will die. And the leader orders the team to intervene and stop the killing, and make sure of the number of deaths, and the officer comes Huang disguised as. The masked man asks Seong Gi if he knows anyone named Anho and who is his brother, and wants to make sure that he's alive, but Sung says that they don't know each other's names. After the atmosphere calms down, Sung tells them that they should at least know each other's names, because they are on the same team, and each one says his full name. They go to the old man, and he is shocked and can't say his name, but they don't answer. They pressure him and tell Sung that it doesn't matter that he remembers his name now. It turns out that their number is less than 107 to 80 players only. After the whole place is cleaned, it is time for the game team to sleep. Sung's team is the one who is healthy, and the old man is the one who painfully guards them and tells them that he can't help them in any way, and the least he can do for them is give up his sleep to guard them. They all wake up at the beginning of the third game, and they are ordered to head to the game hall. IDIS announced that the game will be a group game, and each group will consist of 10 people, and Sung's team begins to increase their number and choose strong men who can help them win. And the thug begins to betray his girlfriend and leave her, and his team is without her, and tells her that he will include her in the next game if she still wants him, and he beats her to leave him and wants to kill him, and she leaves to look for a team of only 9 and cleans up. Good luck to Sung's team, and all the players are divided into 8 groups. Each group has 10 people, and the game is tug of war, but from a high place, and he loves Sung and knows that they lost because of their weak team, and the team that will play is chosen by lot, and the thug's team is chosen in front of a weak team, and the thug's team wins easily, and all the team in front of them die because they fall from a very high place. And the second round comes, and the lead is on Sung's team, and their fate comes in front of a team full of men, and they are all frustrated except for the old man, who cheers and tells them tug of war doesn't depend on strength only, and if they play the way he tells them, they will win. And Beth is strong in his words because they have no other choice. and he tells them that the leader must be strong and not show his weakness to the opponent, and he teaches them to stand in a certain way in order to use all their strength, and that the first 10 seconds they defend, but don't withdraw. And the moment the opponent collapses or makes a mistake, they start withdrawing, and Sun's team is close to finally winning until the second team responds and pulls them towards them. But Sang tells them the idea is that when he signals they should advance 3 steps towards the opponent's team, as if they are going to commit suicide, and they actually listen to Sang's words and advance 3 steps quickly forward. And in the next video we will complete for you what happened in the summary of the second part.